You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 24 of the Battered MLS Fans Podcast. I am your host, Daniel Granada, and alongside me, I got two cheerful, jolly, Christmas themed Tommy and Tyler from Scarves and Spikes. Let me start over. Tyler, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I got this jolly fella right next to me. Not that other guy with the weird lights on his face. I don't know who that is.
And just real quick, for those of you that don't know, Tommy, award-winning, two-time defending, worst guest on the Battered Herons Network. So shout out to you, Tommy. Not easy, but you repeated. Great job. How you doing, sir?
I'm going to be my best behavior today because it's still 2024, so I can't screw up 2025 until after New Year's. So
understood. That makes sense. But
the schedule's
right,
coming out this week, though. So
the 19th.
We'll know when we get together.
That'll be fun. But I guess the news of the day, right? We have been talking about it for a couple months now, right? We kind of figured Atlanta's season ends and Chris Henderson's going to be going over there. Kind of curious, how you guys feeling about the acquisition? Then we can get into his time here in Miami. For those of you that don't know about the time in Miami, but how you guys feeling with this? I know that we had talked about it in the past, and you guys felt like it was happening. We felt like it was happening. How you feeling now that the news is finally official?
Finally. Freaking finally. It feels like it's been like 3 months, and we're like, hey, when are we getting this Chris Henderson signing? Like, it's any day now. It should be any day now. I mean, it was really inconvenient for Tom to drop it on a Sunday night right before Christmas, but whatever. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
I thought it was a foregone conclusion until people started saying that he wanted to get out of from under that Logaway shadow. So that made me think that, maybe he isn't going to want to go step right back into that. I don't know if you guys had heard anything about that at all. No?
Okay. That was still the rumor. We haven't heard anything else as far as this. Now, the manager position, that's still something that's completely wide open as far as we know. But remember, the minute Atlanta United got knocked out by Orlando, Henderson posted another goodbye message on Instagram. Mm-hmm. The timing there was like, it's not a coincidence.
Right.
His time is coming here. I will say, you guys better not take anyone good with our second round super draft pick.
Well, I mean, Yannick Bright ended up being a stud. And, he got him in the draft. First round, though, not second round. So, even though Leo Alfonso also has looked pretty decent, I believe he was second round. All right. And somebody saying that your audio, I don't think Tommy's audio is low. You might want to put your volume up. All right. His time here in Miami. I don't know what you guys have heard. I'm sure that you guys have heard that he worked wonders. He got here with the sanctions. Basically one hand tied behind his back. And he built a playoff roster, our first playoff roster. But as soon as Messi got here, I think he lost. I don't know if he lost all power, but nothing is attributed to him nobody's giving him any credit for anything that happened as soon as Messi arrived. So what you're doing is you're taking Chris Henderson, you're kind of looking at him as far as, was it 2021 when the sanctions happened, all the way through summer of 2023. In between there, you got 2022, which we made the playoffs. He signed Yedlin. He signed Campana. He signed Robert Taylor. So he brought in some guys that are still contributing or at some point contributed big time. But everybody kind of looks at him as he knows how to work the system, the numbers. But as far as talent goes, he outside of Pozuelo, I don't think he ever brought anybody that was a stalwart. But then again, he never really got to work with the money that he's going to get to work with here in Atlanta. And everybody was really excited. Like, when Miami is out of these sanctions, let's see what happens with Chris Henderson because he's finally going to have money to work with. But he never got that opportunity because the sanctions left and then Messi arrived. Is he going to be calling the shots in Atlanta?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean,
80-20, would you say? Maybe 80-20? Is that fair?
Depends on who's getting
louder now, making sure. Well, I think Henderson gets the 80, but you can't take the general manager out of one of the best general managers in MLS history, right? So I think it's a collaboration, right? It was a collaboration before, and it's going to be a collaboration now because Garth is technically the general manager until probably about 25 minutes ago. But, seriously, though, like they should be working together. He wants another smart mind in there, but you're never going to be able to take that. Like a coach, like when a coach gets promoted out of out of a front office or out of the coaching job, right? And he goes into the front office, he's always going to want to throw his 2 cents in, right? And I think that I think it's just, they know each other and, they're not going to bump heads. They know what each other think and how they like it. And they've won before. It's a perfect combination.
Tyler, does he have 3 DPs to work with right now?
You got 2.
2.
Yeah.
That's right.
So-
Saba takes the other.
Well, so you've got kind of a weird situation because they're doing some like buy downs. They're doing some funny stuff that they have to do in the off season. But right now, like technically Steon Gregerson is a DP, but they're buying him down. And then you have Alexei Miranchuk, who's the number 10 that they brought in the summer. He's right now really the only true DP on the roster. So he'll have the 2 full ones to work with.
And 1 max 10 player likely as well that they'll be able to bring in.
Atlanta, Atlanta, I feel like Atlanta is that Inter Miami, right? Where they want to bring in big names. They got the money to do it.
Kind of.
No.
I think
Chris Henderson doesn't get a big name. And I could be wrong, right? He never had the opportunity to really do it here. But Chris Henderson, the big names, Pozuelo was the biggest name, I think, that he got while he was here into Miami. And that was an MLS guy, a former MLS MVP. Great player, by the way. But I don't know if he is, at least he hasn't shown it yet while he's in Miami, that he can get that big name that's going to contribute internationally and come over here.
I think the way Garth has kind of started running things, it was different when we had Carlos Bocanegra and Darren Eales. They were the 2 before. They're going and throwing Arthur Blank's checkbook at whatever big name, and all talented guys that have come in, but they just didn't really fit a system. Like Atlanta hasn't had a system that made sense since like before COVID, and back then like it made a lot of sense. Like everything worked and it gelled well, and then it kind of became this like revolving door of like you have a good coach and you have the players that don't fit, and then you have players that fit, then the coach doesn't fit because we're swapping back and forth all the time. So I mean, Garth, he's not one that's necessarily going to go sign the big name guy just to sign the big name guy. But I mean, he's come out and shown that he'll throw money at a guy if he really wants him. He did it with Giacomakis back when Giacomakis was here. And then he did it with Alexei Miranchuk because there was a little bit of a back and forth there. Like I think they ended up paying like $2 million more than they originally planned. So it's not that he can't or won't, but I think they're still kind of relying on their scouting department, which is really big now, to go and find like the super talented guys. And then it's just a matter of like Henderson and Garth signing off on it.
Yeah, but there's like tiers though. Sorry, there's like tiers of like big player, right? Like you guys go out and get a different type of superstar, right?
Yeah.
You're going out and getting the names that attract, right? Well, Atlanta's looking for some of those players, but they're looking for them a little bit younger. Maybe they're not known in the United States as much, but they're known in other places. So I take that, and you're not going to go find like a player coming to Atlanta United that you see on a Premier League commercial, 5 times a week, right?
Right, not somebody that's established. Like Almada. Almada was a pretty big name coming, but he wasn't an established name that everybody was excited to come see. So I get what you're saying. And I mean, him ending up back in Brazil completely, that I don't know where that came from.
Pity Martinez, another good example, right?
Yep.
The coach search. Now that you have this spot filled, I would assume that you are expecting the coach to be announced soon.
Any day now. I think it's going to be by the end of the week, honestly.
Tell me that you do not want Jim Curtin.
I don't want Jim Curtin.
Okay. I wouldn't want him either. Tommy, do you want Jim Curtin?
I don't hate it. I don't think I prefer it, but I don't hate it.
Like, I don't prefer it. Yeah.
Right. We all agree that it's going to be Jim Curtin, though, right?
I mean, I've heard your conversation about how he chokes. I mean, you've texted us about this before and there, but the guy's also had very limited resources throughout his career. in MLS, right? And I think a lot of coaches are like that, and respect to him as well, because Atlanta United came calling what, a month, 2 months before, interested to see if he'd come in, for the season, and he said no, he wanted to stick with the project that he started, right, in Philadelphia. And then you assume that things probably got a little bit more hot, and he probably criticized the spending and just said, well, good day, sir. And you figure Atlanta immediately called him and said, we'd still like to do that interview. Now, how that interview went and how his apology letter to the Atlanta United fan base would be more interesting to me, because he did trash Atlanta United. He did trash their fans at one point in an interview, and it was
Did he?
It was not good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he basically just said Atlanta, like, people don't go there to watch soccer. They just go there to party, and you need to check their driver's license.
I wonder what to say about Miami.
Right? What was the driver's license comment, Tyler?
Yeah, he was like, well, if you check their driver's licenses at the door, then you would see that they're not all from Atlanta. They come from everywhere else because it's a party.
That's me.
Tommy is the living embodiment of Jim Curtin's
But
hate.
I can multitask. I could party and watch soccer, Jim Curtin, if you're watching. Multitaskers we are.
Well, Michael Wolfinger says Curtin most likely to NYCFC, which I could see that also.
What a cool name.
Patrick Vieira. I thought that's who would end up in Atlanta, and I was surprised when he went elsewhere. If it's not Jim Curtin, are there any other rumored names?
I mean, rumors? No. I mean, there's like Sartini is a big one that's popped up now. I mean, there were a handful more at one point, but they keep getting snatched up. Like you talking about Patrick Vieira, there was I will call it a rumor, because it wasn't 100% verified, but he was here at the Benz, like walking through the stadium, apparently, checking it out. But this was like a month and a half ago. And then, of course, he gets picked up. So I don't know if it was a matter of like him saying you're taking too long, or if something in the interview process, Garth Lagerwey was like, no, he's not the guy. I don't know. But I just, like with Jim Curtin, I just feel like there's other names out there that you should be able to go after. And don't ask me for the specifics right now, because they keep dropping like flies, but there are other leagues that you can stop recycling coaches from. And I'm just tired of the recycled MLS stuff.
Yeah, but there's recycled ones, and there's ones that have success, right? He had a bad year this year, right?
Yeah.
And there were different reasons for that. But if he wasn't a dick to the city of Atlanta, would you have a different tune?
I mean, not really, because I want something more extravagant than Jim Curtin. Like Jim.
Yeah, but the extravagant guys leave. Like, you go get these big names. It's a year or two, and they're out, right?
I don't know
like,
how much you want to pay.
And that's the problem. You want consistency. And one thing that you could, if Jim is the right choice, he's not leaving MLS, very likely. So you can get somebody here that could be, right? Because that's what you don't want. You don't want to constantly have a new manager come in and then constant roster turnover. And that's what Atlanta's been kind of for the past few years. It's got a mixed match of different players from different managers. The main thing that I want as a manager for Atlanta United is someone that's going to be here long term, right? And that was what the whole Gonzalo Pineda idea was that you bring him in, right? He's an MLSer, and he's probably going to be an MLSer for life, right? If that worked out. We know now that it didn't work out. But that was the hope there, right? You grew in MLS, you played there, you grew there, you're staying here, and you're winning championships here.
There's no chance that Valentino stays?
He's gone.
Oh, he's out. No, he's gone.
Is that already?
Oh, yeah, he's out of the club entirely.
They Henderson him and got rid of his office. I don't know.
Oh, and for those that don't know, Inter Miami, they picked up Raul Sanllehi. And he's most known for bringing Neymar to Barcelona. That's why everybody assumes that he ended up in Miami, because he's eventually going to bring Neymar to Miami. He moved straight into Chris Henderson's office. Chris Henderson, there was never an official deal done over the last year. We assumed that he was just on there as a consultant. I remember my guy Steve Munoz here. I was talking to him earlier about it. But we weren't sure what was going on with Chris Henderson over the last year. We knew that he would show up in some pictures here and there, but I mean, it was a rough year, I would assume, for him professionally, because he was replaced and nobody really knows officially what his title was. So we kind of figured that this was coming. So all in all, a successful day for Atlanta United.
Hell yeah.
First of many pieces. So.
And And here in Miami, people are worried, right? Because Chris Henderson was the guy behind the numbers and the rules. And I understand that is a big deal. I would assume that you could find another human being that can crunch some numbers and follow some rules, though. Like, I understand, and I love Chris Henderson. He did a great job with the sanctions. But the fact that everybody is saying, "Oh my God, what are we gonna do? Nobody knows the rules." Somebody can figure out the rules. Like, you should, if you get paid to figure out rules, you should be able to figure out rules and be able to follow the numbers that you can't spend. You can't buy Blaze Matuidi and say he's not a DP when he's getting DP money. Like,
you tried that. It didn't work.
100%. And he ended up not even playing for us. He ended up being our mascot over there at the Bright Line train. So, but that's a story for another day. All right. I mean, that's really all it. Do you guys have any questions about Chris Henderson before we sign off here?
Is he going to win us another cup?
No.
All right. Well, whatever. I'm out. I'm out.
Well, thanks for coming, Tyler.
Look, I will tell you, if Jim Curtin goes, I think it's a very cool story that we finally get to see what Jim Curtin and Chris Henderson, because in Seattle, he didn't have a bunch of money to use either. We can finally see what Chris Henderson and Jim Curtin can do when they have big pockets to work with. And I think that's a really cool story to follow if they both end up there. And they kind of, because that's always been, I wonder what Chris Henderson's finally going to do when he finally has the money to spend. Kind of wonder what Jim Curtin can do when he finally has some big names to play with. So
it's either going to be really good or really bad.
One or the other.
Sure. There's no in between with this.
I mean,
between this, well, we were bad this season, but the playoffs made us in between.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about the playoffs on this podcast, Tyler. We can't do that anymore.
That's why I'm just over here making noises.
All right. I appreciate you guys joining me last minute for this quick emergency pod. We're going to be back at 10 o'clock with our originally scheduled show. I got Tommy, and it won't be Tyler. It's going to be Eric from LAFC. We're talking playoffs. So, Tyler, Tommy, real quick, where can everybody find you?
Scarvesandspikes.com.
I heard that you guys are going to be doing some giveaways.
Yeah, we're having our holiday episode. I was going to send you an invite if you'd like to stop by and wear something festive. Wear your little tuxedo that you wore the other day, where you made another child. And yeah, we'll.
Yeah.
If anybody's, if you're going over to Battered MLS in a little bit, it's just going to get crazier because the gummy's about to kick in like right now. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
And Eric probably isn't that far off with you, so it should be an interesting.
Right.
And then Peaches, it says, what's 10 p.m.? 10 p.m. in our time is 10 minutes from now. So Battered MLS fans, make sure you go and catch us there on the other YouTube channel. Appreciate you, Tommy and Tyler, for jumping on last minute. The best of luck to Chris Henderson. I mean, he was a nice guy when I met him, and I wish him the best of luck until it comes to finally playing against us, and we'll see how that works out. I think he got dealt a raw hand this past year, so I hope that he goes ahead and shuts some people up. So until the next one, have a good one.
See ya.